feels super good.
All right, we're on Disco Acid Cult TV. I don't know.
So, last weekend I went to the Academy of what's it called? The Academy of Motion Pictures Museum, and they were having a new exhibit on it was on the use of color in film, and so they had a bunch of props and clothing from films where they were very vibrant, and one of them happened to be The Shining. So I got to see Jack Nicholson's red jacket from The Shining. That was cool as fuck. I couldn't tell if it was really nice suede or velvet. It looked so soft.
To me, it always looked, if I had to pick one of the two, I would say it looks more suede than velvet.
Yeah, it would make sense that it would be suede. I don't think he would wear velvet.
It's like a velvet jacket in The Shining.
It looked like, because they had it under red lighting as well
Oh, that's weird.
make it seem, yeah, under each one they shone a light depending on what color the item was, and they kind of went through all the color hues. So it started out with pinks and then kind of went its way down. But then they had the original Wizard of Oz red slippers. That was cool. And then they had the fucking burn book from Mean Girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought was funny. That was under the pinks. Yeah, they had a bunch of crazy stuff. And then they had all the original dyes that Disney would use back in the 20s. It was pretty cool.
Protomax, is that Anger Management? Isn't that the movie with Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler?
I haven't seen that one, but I know of it.
I haven't seen it either, but I feel like it, yeah, because that's that's old Jack Nicholson. Yeah, that's got to be Anger Management. They're on the cover yelling at each other.
Because that was when we were in school.
2003.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when you grow up, or just when you're born. I was born in 93, so I just always knew Jack Nicholson was the old guy. You don't realize that oh, he's been acting since the fucking 50s, and then you start looking back and you see him in black and white movies. He was in Little Shop of Horrors and
yeah.
The burn book. That's pretty cool to see though. Anything Shining related also has to be awesome.
Yeah, no, they had some cool stuff, and then they had this. They made it, of course, on the website. They made it seem like it was this grandiose thing, but it was so tiny. It was a room. They had an exhibit on cyberpunk in film, and of course, the only movie they could really do was fuck. What's that? What is that? What's that movie that people like to watch on Christmas all the time? That's
A Christmas Story?
No. It's with
Home Alone.
Hold on. Let me look this up. You'll know right away. I've actually never seen it. I know every guy likes it. Okay. Hold on. From Pulp Fiction. I'm forgetting names now. Okay, it's with Bruce Willis. I think he's in it.
Oh, is it Die Hard?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it was Die Hard.
I've never seen Die Hard.
Me either, but they had something from Die Hard in there, and they that was kind of the exhibit. I've never seen the movie, but then they had some other little props from other movies, and there was this movie that I saw the prop and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. So then I went and watched it. It's called Videodrome. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, isn't that David Cronenberg? No, I'm gonna feel stupid if I'm wrong. I feel like it's David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Yes, David Cronenberg. It's been on my radar for a while. I've never watched it.
That was crazy. That was if you want a real raw 80s movie with lots of gore, that was nuts.
Yeah,
I thought it was weird though that they picked James Woods. He's such a bizarre actor.
That's David Cronenberg, yeah, all of his movies are. You probably like a lot of his movies. Like he made The Fly. He did.
Well, it's like so it's James Woods and then Debbie Harry.
Yeah,
So yeah, that one was crazy because it's basically about this like virtual, I want to say it's kind of like a virtual virus where this guy like he watches this film. And it's kind of like The Ring, but it's like he watches a film and then he gets this like tumor and it makes him hallucinate and then he basically like goes crazy, but it kind of makes you hallucinate in like a sexual way.
yeah,
So, and then like Debbie Harry, of course, is like his female in lead. Um, and then it's kind of like what happens with those hallucinations. It was fucking weird, but I loved how it was like it was so 80s, like just all the gore and the chaos. It was just like, real effects.
yeah.
So, yeah, no, definitely like it you watch it once and then you say what the fuck and you never watch it again.
Yeah, David Cronenberg's movies are all super like what the fuck movies. Like he did Scanners in either 1980 or 1981. David Cronenberg has a son, Brandon Cronenberg. He also directs movies, and he made that movie Infinity Pool that came out like 2
Mhm.
years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, 2023. Infinity Pool with Mia Goth. That is the worst movie I've ever seen in theater. One, I just didn't care for the movie, but two, because I took my sister,
Mhm.
um, who at the time must have been like 12 or 13. And like one of the very first scenes in the movie, like I had no idea what it was. I fucked up. It was my bad. I knew just the fact that Brandon Cronenberg directed it. I knew it was gonna be weird. I was like, I probably shouldn't take my sister to see this, but she texted me at some point and was like, "Oh, I want to go see this movie." I don't know
Mhm.
why she wanted to see it. She thought it was a different movie, is I think the reason she gave. She thought it was a different movie. And so yeah, we went to go see it. Within like the first 20 minutes, Mia Goth jacks a dude off and he busts all over the ground. And I'm like, holy shit. There's like an orgy scene in it. It was fucking terrible. It was like the worst experience of my life at a movie theater.
Yeah, no, this movie was like bizarre, like, because the guy is hallucinating, and so he somehow, like, within his hallucinations, there's this like really graphic scene where you see like his stomach has this like big red line, like he's sitting down, and then like the next scene is like it turned into like a vag like on his stomach, and it's like this like I don't know, it looked like a vag or like a giant open wound. It was bizarre. And then he basically like puts his hands like into himself and then like pulls out like I think he pulls out like a gun or something. Like it was just so weird and it didn't make sense. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, all of Cronenberg's movies, that's like his thing, kind of like sci-fi-ish. He has one movie, the outlier in his filmography is actually a movie that I really like called Fast Company from 1979 with Claudia Jennings. And that movie is just a totally normal, like 1970s race car movie. Apparently, he
Hmm.
did it just for a paycheck. He just, he needed to get paid. But yeah,
Yeah.
he goes on to, he makes The Fly, he makes Videodrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's Scanners. Yeah, a lot of his movies are apparently like very, very bizarre, like what the fuck type movies.
Well, what was James Woods was in, what was that vampire movie he did? Do you know about that?
No, I don't even think I've really seen any. All I know about James Woods is the Family Guy
I know,
skits with
right?
him.
That's whenever I think of him, I just think of Family Guy. Yeah, I don't think of him as like an actor. But
Yeah,
him as an actor is like it's weird. Like in Videodrome, he's pretty young. And it's like, yeah, he's not bad looking, but it's like he's a weird main character trying to be like a handsome young lad, and he's like pulling Debbie Harry. Like that just doesn't seem like it would happen. But oh, I think it's called Vampires. That's the movie he did. It was who made that? A John Carpenter film. He plays like a vampire hunter, and that was also weird because James Woods would not be a vampire hunter, but he is in this movie, and it just didn't. It was so out of pocket.
Yeah, I knew that he had done a Carpenter film. I forgot it was Vampires. John Carpenter. I really haven't watched as many John Carpenter movies as I should.
What else has he done? Oh, he's done Halloween. Okay,
John
Halloween.
Carpenter. Yeah, he's the Halloween.
Yeah,
Escape from New York is a great film. The Thing,
The
the remake of The
Fog.
Thing.
Yeah.
I just watched The Fog a couple months ago. I want to rewatch it though because I watched it kind of when I was like doing other stuff in my room, so I wasn't paying too much attention. But yeah, John Carpenter is in the conversation for like one of the best horror directors of all time for sure.
Oh, I don't think I told you a couple weeks ago, I went to another Hollywood show where you just go and meet celebrities and get their autographs. And Malcolm, so they had it when the fires were going on, and like everybody was like, "Why are you still hosting this?" Because a lot of the celebrities were bailing out. Like I went to meet Cherie Curry, but she bailed out because of the fires. And I was like, well, shit, like I spent money on this. So I like ran over there real quick, got my autograph from one of the people from Twin Peaks, and then like ran back home. But, anyways, Malcolm McDowell was there
That's
from The
awesome.
Clockwork Orange. And so I kind of, when I initially thought about it, I was like, well, I might want to get his autograph depending on how much it is. Probably going to be a lot. But then, like, I just didn't go through with it because so they placed him, like, of course, in his own little corner, and it was like $100-something just for an autograph.
Yeah, of
Which,
course.
it's like, yeah, of course, but I also just wasn't in the mood to deal with that. And then there was like a line, and it just like I saw him, he's extremely old. And then I saw him like take pictures with other people, and like he just didn't look happy to be there, like in all the photos. He's old. And so I just kind of was like, I don't really want to spend like $100+ to kind of be shoveled through a line, get a signature and go. Because some of these celebrities, you meet them and they make it really personal for you and you have a conversation. And I'm like, if I'm going to spend money, I want a moment. So I just didn't go through with it with him, but I did see him. He looks very, very old. But if he comes around to the next one, maybe I'll spend the money.
Yeah, a lot of people. Obviously I like Malcolm McDowell. Everyone likes him for A Clockwork Orange. I really like him in Rob Zombie's Halloweens. He's Dr. Loomis in both Halloween 1 and 2. He's in Rob Zombie's 31, which is my least favorite Rob Zombie movie of all time, and he basically was wasted, in my opinion. He just plays some character that is supposed to be like the main antagonist of the movie, but he's just a goofy dude in a powdered wig who sits in a dark room and like watches stuff happen. You'd have to see the movie, but yeah, he's been in 3 Rob Zombie films. But yeah, in Halloween 1 and 2, I like him
Yeah,
a lot. He does a really different take on Dr. Loomis than the original Halloween. But
yeah. There was a movie he did when he was young. I have to look it up. And he played like it was a Roman story. I forget what it was called. He played like it was like an ancient Roman film, and he did a really good job. But it was like just like a straight porno. It was just him basically having sex for like a couple hours because that's what they did in ancient Rome. Let's see. I think it was like one of his really early films too. I don't even know. Oh, Caligula. Yeah, that shit's wild. And I think I listened to a podcast recently. He was on with Mark Maron, and he was talking about filming that movie, and he just said it was so insane because they just had everybody having sex for a
yeah,
couple hours. But it is a good movie.
yeah, it says it's an erotic historical drama film.
Yeah. No, it is like very on par to like what happened during those times because he plays one of the, famous people in court. Um, but it's like, you'll see a scene of like, the history, and then the next scene is like him with like 5 women, and it's just like insane.
I know he was in a horror film in I think the 80s. It's called something to do with cat people. Um, that's apparently like a strange 1982 movie. I know I've heard stories or I've heard or read a little bit about I guess during A Clockwork Orange, Malcolm McDowell felt that he really bonded with Stanley Kubrick. He felt they'd become very good friends. But then after the film was done, Stanley Kubrick never like Malcolm McDowell, I guess, would call him and like, want to hang out. And he thought they became friends and Stanley Kubrick didn't feel that way. So for like
Yeah.
years, Malcolm McDowell felt very burned by Stanley Kubrick and I think would kind of talk bad about him in interviews and stuff
Oh,
for
I
like
didn't know
most
that.
of the later 70s and 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Stanley Kubrick it sounds like it just sounds like he was being a dick. It just sounds like Stanley Kubrick was like, "Hey, we're doing a job, and then once this job's over, I'm gonna go home. We're not gonna keep
Yeah.
hanging out. We're not gonna." But Malcolm McDowell was young, and I'm sure when you're young, hanging out with a dude like Stanley Kubrick, it's probably you probably look up to him and hope that you're gonna stay
Yeah.
friends and whatnot. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. I can't remember exactly where. I think it was just like in interviews where he talked about it, where he's like, "Yeah, I felt like that we bonded, and, that's the best type of Stanley Cooper." No, yeah, no, I don't think he was being a dick, it just sounds like Stanley Kubrick is he's a straight to business guy, and then, him socially, it's not like he ever goes out, he kinda just lived in England with his wife and never traveled or, he
Yeah.
I always saw Stanley Kubrick as being, like, above celebrity directors, like, I can't imagine Stanley Kubrick going to, like, the fucking Oscars nowadays and, like, partaking in all that, like,
Oh, no.
celebrity bullshit. Stanley Kubrick is just, like, a pure artist,
Mhm.
you're not catching him in People Magazine, you're not seeing him in the tabloids, like, he's at home with his fucking European
Yeah.
wife, and he's good, he's fine. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess he barely left for, like, like, in Eyes Wide Shut, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman had to go to England, and, they were like he hated flying, like, he was so set on never leaving and coming back to the States that he would pay money to send scouts out to New York, and they would take pictures and videos, and then they'd bring it back to him in England, and they would work to recreate the look of New York in England or something like that with
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, he just he was a homebody. But yeah, I always thought that was interesting about Malcolm McDowell. I'd imagine I'd be the same way if I was the age he was. He had to have been like early 20s when A Clockwork Orange was made. Like he had to have been super young.
I don't know. I'm
He
trying to
was born in
think.
1943,
Oh, okay.
and then A Clockwork Orange comes out in what 70?
75?
I'm terrible at math. 71. No,
Oh,
71.
okay.
So yeah, okay. I guess he was 30, right?
Yeah.
1943 to 1971. He was 20, 28, 28, 27, 28.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I
I
don't consider that.
finished I
What?
finished the book.
Oh yeah, you said you were
Yeah.
reading the book.
Yeah, I finished the rest of it. It was really good. But then it's like, I wrote my little like story review on how I really liked it and like compared my thoughts to the film. And then of course like someone has to be like, "Oh, well, I just thought the film was so disappointing compared to the book." And it's like, well, in this case, Stanley Kubrick's films are, they're a piece of art. So I'm expecting the movie to be different from the book, of course, as with most books and films. But
Well, that's what hipsters
yeah.
always talk about, the book being better than the movie, and it's like, dude,
Yeah, but
come on.
I was like, yes, the book was really good, but in this specific case, they're two completely different forms of art and I can appreciate them in their own way. Because I guess like I might feel different if I had read the book first and then watched the movie, but this has been one of my favorite films since I was, 13. Um, so that film is, very close to me, so I can appreciate both for what they are. But yeah, I was like, really? Like, why are you? Of course, somebody has to do that. Oh,
Yeah, no,
it'll
there's
never
always
up.
hipsters. Yeah, hipsters are always going to talk about the book being better than the movie. It could be totally wrong, and then they'll talk, just because they want to. Oh, I like reading.
Yeah, that's.
Did you watch the Grammys or see anything about the Grammys?
No, I'm not an award show gal. It's just like, I mean, I saw the pictures and, it just looks so stupid. Like,
Yeah.
did you guys talk about it last night?
Barely, a little bit. I didn't watch the whole thing either. I mostly harped on Chappell Roan complaining about record labels not paying them people a living wage and giving better health care, even though they're all fucking millionaires.
Yeah.
And everybody in the audience crying, acting like it was so brave for her to get up there and say, "Oh, our record labels need to pay us a living wage and give us better health care." Like, dude, shut the fuck. I can't stand those motherfuckers. Jaden
Well,
Smith wearing the castle.
I
My theory is
did
that
see that.
my theory is that big castle on his head is supposed to represent the house that his mom banged out a bunch of dudes in while Will Smith did nothing about it.
Okay.
And then,
What was his explanation?
did he give one? I haven't seen
I don't
anything about
know.
him giving one.
So stupid. The whole thing is just so stupid.
Yeah,
Well,
they're just
yeah.
people that like need attention. I mean, which is crazy. It's like you guys get all the attention in the country. You're the celebrities.
Yeah. Well, so after we went to the museum, so Nick works with celebrities and very rich people. And so so there's a gated community near me where all of the like top celebrities live, like the Kardashians and Drake and all of them. They're like, 50 $100 million homes. I've never been in that gated community because of course you have to know somebody to get in there, but Nick is always going in there to work, and I have always said, oh my god, can you please take me sometime just so I can see it. So he is working a job with like these like I don't know. These guys, they're basically like tech bros that like made millions through gambling. They're like big poker players. And so he was like, okay, I have to go stop in to their home to speak with them after the museum. I can show you around. So I was like, okay, cool, great. I've been here for 30 years and I've never seen what's in there, and it's right down the street. So I was like, this is so weird. I was like so unimpressed. So first of all, I saw all the Kardashians' homes. I saw Kim's home. I saw like the whole lot of them. I got to see, I think the most boring house I've ever seen was Nicki Minaj's home. It looked like, I don't know if you've ever seen those like new barnyard structures where it's kind of like those metal plates. I don't know if you've seen them. They're kind of like these like rigid metal plates that people use to like build a structure. Well, like her home like looks like that. And so I saw Drake's house. There were a couple people, but it was really boring, I guess, because when you go to the Hollywood Hills and you see like the big homes there, they're like these very intricate mansions and they all look super unique. And this like everything looked the same. It was super modern, and like when you look online at like modern homes, they're usually like these square structures that are just like muted tones. It was all like that. And they're all worth like millions and millions of dollars. And then I also found out that like for those people to live in there, the property tax is like 20%. So if you own a home that's like $10 million, you have to pay 20 million a year in property tax, which is insane.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine that level of wealth. But
well, none of those celebrities have good taste. They just pay people to have good taste for them. So that's, they just end up with shitty modern homes that all look the same.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess like There's like other gated communities around here where the homes are all unique in their own way, but I don't know. I guess this one, it does have like the most amount of privacy that's why they live there. But I just was like, I'm unimpressed, which I thought was funny. You know, I'm like, I'm just a mere peasant, but I'm unimpressed by your mansion. So,
Yeah.
but so anyways, the story of the week on the opposite side of wealthy celebrities and their mansions. So I have been having a whole issue with this homeless guy the past 2 weeks. And it got up to like a whole boiling point and like shit hit the fan. And it finally was resolved last night. But I live in this like townhouse community, and behind us there's an alleyway, and the alley connects to like several other townhomes and condos and whatever. And so there's never any homeless people in the alley, because homeless people know, like, don't go down there because there's so much foot traffic and cars, it's just not safe. So for 2 weeks now, we've had this like problem where the building behind me has like their parking lot kind of has like like a cover over it. And I want to say it was like it wasn't this Monday, but the past Monday prior, I was coming home and I saw this guy like standing in their parking lot, and he looked like a clean, normal dude. And he was like he was like sitting underneath the structure, and he had like a bunch of shit with him, and he was smoking. And I was like, okay, like that's kind of weird. Anyways, next morning I'm driving out, and he's created like a whole fucking encampment on their property, like in their parking lot. And I was like, okay, well, that's not going to fly because people park there. So then he's devised like a whole encampment where he's like stringing like drapes like somehow to the like the roof of this structure and creates a whole thing. Anyways, they eventually kick him out, and he's like a fucking mosquito. They kick him out, and then like 2 days later he's back there, and he has more shit. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like there's just so much crap. And he looks like a normal dude. Like he's wearing clean clothes. So I'm like, is this guy newly homeless? Like I'm like, he must have been kicked out of the building. And so then what happens was, it's like, I think it's like Monday, and I'm like, this guy isn't leaving. So I tried to find the information online for their building owner to see if I could get in contact, but I couldn't find anything. And then the guy, I come home and I see that the guy had been removed. And then luckily for us, he moved to our building.
Oh, nice.
So but what he did was so like our parking lot isn't enclosed, but there's a big gate to get in. And I don't know what the fuck was going on in his mind, but he developed his encampment like on our property line connecting to the gate. So now people can't really get in. And it started out with like he took his drapes, and then he like connected the drapes like around the wall. And you could like just see him hit. And I think he was like newly homeless because he was hanging up clothes. I'm like, you have to have some kind of sense of dignity to still be doing that. So he's like hanging up clothes. So I'm watching this and I'm like, no, because now he's blocking people from coming into our parking lot, and we have a two-lane alley. So now like half the cars can't get through. So I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. So like we're thinking, okay, what do we do? So I'm like, you know what? Like, fuck this. Like, I'm gonna call the cops. So what day is it? It's Thursday. So I call the cops, and then of course, like they're useless. They're like, you need to contact non-emergency. So you call non-emergency, and they're like, you need to contact the fire department, who then was like, you need to contact, homeless housing and then social services. Anyways, nobody wanted to fucking deal with it. And so I'm like, okay, great. So then this was Monday. So then Tuesday comes around, and I'm like, I have to do something. So then I call the cops again, and I'm like, we need someone to come out here. So they're like, okay. And because they've like defunded the police now, instead of sending an officer out, they send their like crisis team. It's like it's usually just like a group of women that come out that,
Yeah.
I don't know what they offer. But this woman calls me on the phone, and she was like, oh yeah, we've had like several dozen people call about it, but we can't get him to leave. I know he's on your property line, but his feet are on the pavement, so we can't get him to leave. And I was like, really? Like, come on, this is fucking stupid. Like, he's
The fuck does
blocking
that
the
even mean?
roadway. I know. I was like, what does that mean? She was like, no, his feet are on the pavement. It's public ground. And I was like, really? Because he's storing his shit like on the wall, which is our property. And they were like, well, maybe you can contact like whoever owns your, whoever your HOA is, or call the city, but like we can't really do anything except give him resources. But he didn't want the resources, which was weird, because I'm like, okay, this guy, he looks newly homeless. Why doesn't he want resources to get out of that situation? Because like, okay, so first of all, this guy, he's like really tall and skinny. I'm pretty sure he was like Armenian, and he's wearing like designer clothes. Like, I saw him with a Guess bag, and he's like setting up like all of his designer shit, just like creating a little home. So then I'm like, okay, thanks. Like, that didn't help. And I was like, can you go over there again and talk to him? Because, I've seen these encampments get like crazy out here in LA, and then it's like, there's so much hazard that could happen. It could like set a flame, whatever. So the woman was like, okay, yeah, we'll go out there again and I'll let you know. And then of course, like, she didn't let me know. So then Nick calls one of the people from our HOA, and then they're like, yeah, we can't do anything about it. Like, we're just not going to help you. Like, you have to figure it out yourselves. So we're like, are you fucking kidding me? So then on Tuesday, so then Tuesday morning, I go out there, and he has devised like an entire house like in the alley. Like, these guys, I don't know how the fuck these people do it. Like, these homeless people are insane. Like, they just create like whole structures out of nothing. So I was like, oh hell no, I am not having this. So I was like, I got to go talk to this guy. Now, the night before, Nick had went out and spoken to him and was like, you need to get the fuck off my property or I will physically remove you. And then the guy was like, I think he was gay. He was like, well, the crisis people said I can stay here. I don't have to do anything. And he was just kind of giving lip to Nick. And Nick was like, if you don't leave, like, I will remove you. And then, of course, the next day comes and the guy hasn't left. So then I go and I talk to him, and I was like, hey, man. And so then what happens when I go out to talk to him, it's gotten to a point where he's actually putting his stuff up like over the gate. So it's like preventing people from coming in and out. Like, it's insane. So I was like, hey man, like, what's going on? Like, you can't fucking do this. And he was like, and he was really nice too, which was like difficult, but it's also like, man, what the fuck is your problem? And he was just like, listen, like, I'm just like you. I was a business owner, and I'm waiting for my, I don't know, he said he was waiting for like his birth certificate to come in the mail. But then he said he didn't have a phone. So I'm like, how do these homeless people get mail?
He's probably just on drugs.
That's what Nick thought. Because like when you spoke to him, he was like coherent. So it was like, okay, you don't have a phone and you're whatever. So I just said to him, I was like, listen, you need to move or someone's going to come and physically force you to move. So then I call Nick and I'm like, he's still here. So then Nick's like, all right, I got this. So he gets his buddies to come from work. They're all electricians and they show up like in their van and they basically like blast their headlights at him for an hour. And then Nick goes out there like just like guns a-blazing, like yelling like, you need to get the fuck out of here, whatever. And this is like, he's like a little Armenian kid. So you could see, and he's like wearing like white skinny jeans too, like just like fresh from the mall. It was so weird. And you could see like, he didn't know what to do. So he like pulls out a cigarette and he's like shaking and smoking.
Jesus. He's probably honestly just like newly on drugs. Like he's not lost his mind yet. That'll come in the next year or so.
I was just like, what? It was so weird because when you speak with him, it was just like he was coherent. So I'm just confused because there's got to be a point. You don't just like become homeless. Like there's got to be a point that builds up to it. So I'm like, how do you have all this designer shit? And he was like, he wouldn't leave the property. Like he had this attachment to the alley. So I'm like, he was probably kicked out. And then he had made a comment to Nick saying like, well, maybe I can get my partner to come help me move. And then he looked towards the building that he had been at before. So we were like, oh, like maybe he's gay and his partner kicked him out and he's doing something petty where he doesn't want to leave because he wants his partner to see him like just struggling. So anyways, Nick comes with his friends and he's, they're all like very big burly guys. And so the guy's like scared. So he's like standing out there and it's been like raining here. So he's standing out in the rain and then he's like shaking and smoking. And Nick's like, you need to get out by tomorrow or I'm going to personally throw all this shit out. And so the guy was like, okay. And he had built this whole fucking structure. Like, I don't even know where he found all this stuff. He had like wooden doors and like all these carts and he created like a whole encampment, like just in the middle of the fucking road. And so then the next morning, like he was still there. So then last night, Nick gets home with a power saw and he's like, everything's gonna go. So he just goes in with the fucking power saw, chops everything up to bits.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like literally every single thing. And the funny part was all of his stuff was designer. Like he had like brand new shit. Nick's like tearing everything up with a power saw. So there's this other homeless guy that lives he lives in his car in our neighborhood and he lives in a Corvette. And it's always like packed to the brim with shit. So the Corvette guy also happened to be in the alley. And he's like, what are you doing? And so Nick was like, hey, if you help me, I'll just give you all this designer shit. So Nick like fucked up this one homeless guy and gave like his shit to this other homeless guy.
That's hilarious.
So I don't know. But then like I was like, okay, so where did the first homeless guy go? And so I saw him last night and he had like some suitcases with him and he was like standing down at the corner like talking to another homeless guy because there's just so many of them in LA. Yeah. And now he's gone. So I just like, I don't know, like witnessing that like up close firsthand is like just it was a lot because I'm like, oh my God, like you're literally sleeping on the ground. And I don't know. I had so many questions because I was like, why do you have all these like Guess bags and like you're wearing like Gucci, but you're sleeping on the floor? So I don't know, but he was clearly gay. So maybe his family kicked him out because he was gay and then he was living with a guy. I don't know.
They probably also sacrifice homes. Like the guy that lives in the Corvette, he probably would rather have a Corvette that he can post on Instagram and TikTok than like a fucking house.
Yeah, but the Corvette guy, it's like his car is like filled to the brim with shit. So like when you pull up, like the window is covered in trash. So it's not really a flex.
Yeah, LA sounds fucking. I want to just drive to LA and live in my car there. It sounds like you could do it.
I mean, there's like so many people that do it, but I don't know how they do it. It's nuts. It's
Yeah.
nuts. But like the Corvette homeless guy was like stoked. He was like, "Look at all these designer clothes. This is worth so much money." And Nick was like, "Just take it. Like get it out of my fucking face. You can have it." And the guy did it. And then but the Corvette guy had acknowledged that it was fucked up that the other homeless guy built a home in a roadway so cars couldn't get through. He was like, "Oh yeah, I would never do that. You don't do that. Like that's homeless 101."
You know what? You know what's hilarious is that you call the crisis people and they're like, "Yeah, we can't do anything." But then you talk to the homeless guy and he's like, "Yeah, the crisis people told me I can stay here." So you know they're playing both sides. They're telling, "Oh, we wish we could help," but then they're going to the homeless guy and saying, "Oh, you do whatever the fuck you want." You know, fuck
Yeah.
these people that live
No,
here.
it was crazy because then like I saw so the crisis people came out like 4 or 5 times. I saw them. It was like three like small Mexican women that came out. I don't know what they said, but he it's like he didn't want to accept their help because when I went to speak with him, I was just like, you know that there's a big storm coming. You are going to get washed out in this alley. And he was like, "Oh, well, I don't know because I don't have a phone." And then I'm thinking, like, okay, so these women have come to visit you like so many times, and none of them told you that it was going to storm because that's been on the fucking news for a while now. And they didn't offer you help. So I'm like, what's your deal? But then he was like, "Can you call them again for me and see if like they can come out again?" So I was like, "Sure, why not?" So I called them again. I don't know if they came out, but the officer on the phone was like, "Yeah, we'll send them out." It was so bizarre. I don't know. But yeah, it just goes to show like having like the initial call where the cops were like, "You need to call this people who call this people," and blah blah blah. It just shows how like useless everything is. And it literally took like Nick with a fucking power saw to get the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they don't
It's
care.
crazy. It's absolutely insane. And then of course like everybody was walking by as he was like sawing all the shit and they were like, "Good job, thank you. Fuck that guy." It's
That's the power saw is awesome.
Yeah, no, he he because Nick has it out for the homeless people. He literally like sawed up like everything. Like this guy had like an ottoman and like a mattress and like every single article of clothing and furniture. He was just like, "It's going down, so he can't ever come back," which is crazy. But like, yeah, he like power sawed a mattress.
Jesus. It's better than having to beat the guy up, like, at least
Yeah.
if anyone's like, "Oh, he's a dick," well, at least he didn't fucking beat the guy up.
No, the problem is the guy was really nice. So it's like, it just like
That's
there's
that's
it,
that's bullshit, though. He's being a dick. He's fucking up people's stuff and then trying to be
yeah.
nice about it.
Yeah. No, he was just like, "I'm doing my best." And I'm like, "But you're not. It's been 2 weeks. I've been watching you and you haven't fucking moved." And
Yeah.
just like crazy. And then yeah, I didn't know where he was getting all that stuff from, but yeah, and then like, like I was telling the other neighbors like, "Okay, this is the plan," because like everybody was on board. So I was like, "This is what's happening." And then of course some of the neighbors were like, "Well, I don't know because Nick could get hurt, and so maybe we should just kind of like let the guy be for a couple days." And I'm like, "A couple days? Do you know how much damage those people could do in a couple days? They're like little rats. They collect everything. A couple of days, it turns into like a whole kingdom."
It makes me think of birds, like when birds build a nest out of, like, stuff that they find.
Yeah. Like what is that? Is that just like a hoarding mentality because you have nothing, so you just collect?
Yeah, I would imagine anything you can find, you know?
It's crazy. Like I don't, it's like a rat's nest. So, and then I'm also like, like that shit's also like a biohazard. Like what is he doing in there? Is he like shitting and pissing in a bucket? Like, right there. That's just
Probably somewhere in the area at least.
That's just like,
It might walk out into a field or something. I'm jealous of Corvette guy. I've lived in a car before. I lived in a car. Lived in a car for like probably like a couple months. It might not have even been a couple months. It might have been like a few weeks. But and when I lived in the car, it was a 2012 Ford Focus, and it was with a girl, so it wasn't even. So it was like with another person, which is but
yeah.
by yourself, that'd be like a luxury. I always liked small spaces for some reason. Like I would take like a 1 bedroom apartment or a tiny home or something. I like small places like that, and then for some reason, small living spaces. But yeah, I could totally do living
But
in a
like,
car.
would you like trash it like that guy?
Well, it's not trashing it, but where else do you put your stuff? Like that's all you
Yeah, but
know.
like, I mean, like this guy, like, because it's just, it's like the entire window is just covered with like fast food wrappers and like papers, and then he'll like, create a space so he can like see out. Like that's the vibe.
The wrappers and trash, that's crazy. When other than that, like you gotta have hey, what's up, Sherman Smoke? You gotta have your clothes. You pretty much just use your clothes. You probably sleep on your clothes. Hey, just put the back seats down. That way it's just like your whole trunk up to the front seats you have. That's where we'd sleep. And then you crash in a truck stop parking lot. Truck stop parking lots are weird. They don't let you. They have a rule against sleeping in your car. Like they really only will let you sleep there if you have a trailer or a truck. But like we a couple times would wake up to them knocking on the window and be like, "Hey, no, you guys can't sleep here." But then we
Yeah.
started getting these black trash bags, and we would just cover up the windows so they couldn't see in the car, and they stopped bothering us. I'm like,
Yeah.
what difference does that make? I guess if they're saying like, "Oh, well, we don't, we can't see them sleeping in there, so we can't do anything about it." But yeah,
I
and then
just think like the whole situation is like crazy to me because if you think about it, like, okay, here's this guy. He looked like he was probably our age, maybe even a little younger. He's walking around in like really nice stuff and he's keeping himself clean and he wants to hang up his dress shirts and whatnot. But it's been 2 weeks, and you would think like if you were in that situation, wouldn't you, and he's telling me he doesn't have a phone, so I would think logically what a normal person would do is there is a hospital, a police station, and a fire department right down the road from us. Wouldn't you want to like go into one of those public facilities and say, hey, I'm experiencing a crisis, I need a telephone to call somebody?
I don't believe that he doesn't
Like,
have a phone.
no, so when he first showed up, I saw him using a phone. I think he said that, but his phone was dead. So I'm like, yeah, go to the fucking hospital down the road and tell them what's going on and that you need a phone charger and then you can call somebody. It just seemed like really sus.
Yeah, I don't
But
believe that he didn't have a phone. Most
because I'm
homeless
just
people.
thinking like, why? Yeah, like all homeless people have phones now. I see them all the time, like laying on the concrete, texting and whatever.
Yeah, they
But
have
it's
phones.
like, yeah. So I'm like, why did that guy like want to be in that situation? Like he wasn't doing the most.
He's got to be doing drugs. There's no other reason, and that's why they don't go try to get resources. They don't want to go talk to police or hospitals
Okay.
because
So the funniest thing of this whole situation was, so the first night Nick goes out there and gives him a fair warning. Like he was like, I see that you're starting something. This can't fucking happen. I need you to go tomorrow. So then tomorrow comes and Nick brings his friends with and like really kind of rustles up the guy. And Nick's like, why are you still here? I told you last night you got to go. This kid, he's like, I'm so tired. I slept in today. I'm really sorry. I was like, a homeless guy said he slept in. That was
yeah.
his reason for not moving. That was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because Nick just looked at him like, are you serious? Did you just tell me that you slept in and you have nothing to do? You're laying on the floor.
Yeah, I'd bet like 90% of anything he told you guys was not true.
Probably. Well, I don't know. Now Corvette guy has all of his shit, so, or whatever's left of it.
Corvette guy probably took half of that shit to the pawn shop and got a good bag out of it.
Probably. Well, you know what? At least Corvette guy had a fucking car, so He
Yeah.
has property. This other guy didn't, because I was like, yeah, like how is this guy like homeless with all this nice stuff, no car, no anything, super sus. But now he's gone, hopefully permanently. Otherwise, we'll just go out there again and start, screaming.
Yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has to become like a weekly occurrence if he comes back or something.
Yeah, no, he literally went out there like guns ablazing, just just out there. It was wild. And it's like raining too. So it was good.
Yeah, it
But
sucks. People know they don't want to do shit about it. Then you got to end up doing some drastic shit like that. Cause
it's just like it's so out of hand here. Like there's just so many of them, and it's just crazy. Like it just keeps getting worse. And now that like the fires happened, there are people that are, homeless now, more of them. I
yeah,
don't know.
legitimately homeless too, not just I want to do drugs, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
partake in adult life.
Do you guys have homeless where you are?
Yeah, my town's got a good amount of, but they're not. I don't want to say they're not everywhere. Here it's still more typical, like outside 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see a tent. There's by the railroad tracks. I don't want to say they know their place here. That sounds terrible, but it's a small town. It's not, they do walk around, and I mean, you do see them in neighborhoods. I remember one night a buddy of mine was driving me home. It's like 2 in the morning. I think we were out drinking, and on the same street that my house is on, like 2 blocks down, we had to go around. It was actually pretty hilarious. There was literally a guy. It was a shopping cart with all of his belongings, and just right on top of all of his belongings was him sleeping, and like directly
What?
in the middle of the road. Like it looked like a cartoon. Like it looked like Snoopy like packed a
What?
bag and like slept on top of the bag, directly in the center of the road, and we had to like go. Yeah.
That's
So
fucking
you see
hilarious.
him, and then on my street all the time, the neighbors always talk about sometimes like, oh yeah, we heard a guy like walking around checking out our car at like 3 in the morning or something, and
Yeah.
one time one of the neighbors they woke up and somebody was like sleeping on their porch. So that they're here. It doesn't sound as prevalent as Los Angeles for sure, but
I mean, because in LA, we have the most homeless in the entire nation.
yeah.
So it is definitely like like it's so stressful because 10 years ago, like it wasn't like this. Like I remember growing up here and like always feeling safe, but now it's just expanded so much where it's just not really safe literally anywhere. Like even in the nice neighborhoods, there's homeless people. And so it's just like, and it's interesting because like within like the homeless population, the people that, like the families that are homeless, like they're not out really on the road, like they're working to get themselves out of that situation. The ones that you consistently see are either the people that are on drugs and then like the crazies that are violent. Like there's always some guy that's like waving a knife or like it's always like guy with a machete on Citizen, like some homeless guy just out on the corner waving a machete around and talking to himself.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know, because I just wonder like with the amount, like with how many there are, is there going to be a point where they all just start like dropping off and dying?
Yeah.
Like will it all kind of happen around the same time? I wonder. Like, because now it's like it keeps growing and growing, but I feel like, especially because so many of them are drugs, like there's got to be a point where the population just like falls off.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a good replacement, I'm sure. Orange County apparently has no homeless people. Is Orange County nice?
Oh yeah, Orange County is like way, way nice, like nicer than Beverly Hills. It's like
Okay.
so expensive. It's way more expensive than LA County.
Um,
So
but yeah, I'm sure a lot of homeless people die every day, but because California is such a like financial hellhole, there's a good,
yeah.
there's probably hundreds of people going homeless like every day in LA, so they will always replace the people that die. Um, and I've heard like I don't even think this would be called a conspiracy theory. It could just be like pretty easy to believe, but people talk about like why does the government want the states to fail? Like why does it seem like they're intentionally sabotaging the states? And people say the people in charge, they just want chaos because then you rely on the government more. I don't know. I don't really understand. To me, it seems like California is like intentionally kind of fucking over its people that are trying to like live life, but I don't know. I don't really see like what the purpose
Yeah.
of it would be. But it's
No,
not deniable that like the homeless population is growing and they're not doing anything about it. And they've got crisis workers telling homeless people they can just stay there and live in
yeah.
someone's house. Like,
Yeah. No, this guy, he was like, I know my rights. I can stay here. The crisis people told me so. I'm like, really? Because you're touching my fucking wall. So
they
no.
probably gave him a pack of free hypodermic needles too when they went out there to visit them.
Yeah, I don't know what they did, but because when I spoke to the woman on the phone, she wouldn't really I mean, of course, she wouldn't really disclose to me what like she had said to him, but I told her my conversation, and then she was like, well, he's really nice, so you can continue to keep talking to him, but I can't get him to move because it is a public roadway. And I'm like, yeah, he's in a public roadway. He's putting himself at risk of being harmed, of being driven over, and then other people can't get by. So it is an issue.
Well, it's crazy
I
because it's like,
said,
dude, yes, you can do something. It's fucking illegal. Like it's
I
illegal.
know. No, I know. And then it was like, but she didn't want to deal with it. She's like, no, like you're just gonna have to deal with it or contact your building owner. And then our building owner was like, yeah, we don't want to deal with it. And then like our building owner was like, yeah, we've been getting like dozens of calls from other people, and everyone has said that they're afraid to talk to this guy. It was literally only Nick and I. There's like 1,000 people that like live in this whole area, and nobody wanted to confront this man except for Nick and I for some reason. So I'm like, okay, great. Like I have to fucking deal with this because all the young families around here with kids and the elderly folk, they're too afraid to go talk to this like 25-year-old Armenian kid, so
Yeah.
but it's just like, yeah, no, the system is like just terrible. And so, but yeah, no, like with what's going on, everybody just hates Karen Bass, of course.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Like she literally just like came in, was like, I'm gonna fix the homeless issue, and then like the first 2 months she was like, we're gonna build more, and then it just stopped. Like nothing happened.
Yeah. Well, even building more isn't like the solution. Like that's what I always think is funny.
Yeah, because like when she was first elected, I remember there were all of the like they were taking hotels, like Motel 6s and all that stuff, and just turning them into like little, free homes for the homeless. And then so the homeless people were coming in, and then they were just trashing the place.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
and then they shut down the hotels.
It's always funny when they say, there's like they say there's like more abandoned houses in the country than there are homeless people. We could just put them all in those. And it's like, dude, 9 times out of 10, you put a homeless guy in a fucking building, it's not going to go well. He's not going to maintain
No,
it.
it's not.
He's not going to be mowing the lawn. He's not going to be fixing the pipes when the water leaks. He's not going to be, flushing the toilet. And like,
No.
so
No,
it's comical that people think that the
general-
issue is housing.
The general consensus is that like people just kind of want to go dump them somewhere, like in the desert, like just go take them out, like Nick and I are always like, they should have like a Hunger Games for the homeless people, because whoever wins, like that guy deserves housing.
Yeah, they could do Squid Game.
Yeah, no, that would be, because first of all, it'll make them use their brains if they do like a Squid Games type of situation. Yeah, no, I definitely think there needs to be some kind of Squid Games or Hunger Games situation with the homeless, because it's insane. I don't know what they're gonna do, but Karen Bass certainly isn't gonna do anything.
No, she's not. Yeah, that's what I wonder. Like, what is the agenda? Like, what is the goal of just having a shit ton of homeless people in your state?
Well, I mean, so right now, like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass keep like talking about how aren't they hosting like some of the Olympics here in a couple years? They
Yeah, yeah, they're
talking
having
about
the Olympics here.
so they keep talking about how like okay we have to have this like big project to clean up LA. Now where they are going to host those games is right near me, and there's a lot of homeless in the valley, so I'm just like where are they going to put them, because that is going to be a huge problem. So but it seems like because when I was a kid all the homeless people were in downtown LA, like in Skid Row or Hollywood. And then it's like they've kind of sent them over here to the suburban area. So I don't know if they're just going to push them out again or what they're going to do or send them out to the desert. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
But
they'll find somewhere. The thing is, they know they have ways to like put them somewhere. Because remember, I think it was like Xi Jinping, whatever, the president of China, when he came to San Francisco, and Gavin Newsom literally cleaned up the street in like a day. Like he was like, "Oh, we're having," whenever it's like a public relations
yeah,
thing, they'll do it. So when the Olympics come to town, oh yeah, they'll move those motherfuckers out. But then as soon as the Olympics are over, they'll come right back and they won't give a
yeah,
fuck. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, you can't clean up the street for the people that live there. But when like a Chinese dictator or whatever, like the communist Chinese president comes to town,
hmm,
who's probably like Gavin Newsom's hero,
yeah,
they'll move them out then. So yeah, when the Olympics come to town, they'll move them out. And then as soon as the Olympics are over, they probably do when that happens. They probably really do. That's when they probably do ship them out to like the fucking desert, or they just ship them out to like a shittier part of the town or something, or they put
but
them in
like
buses.
a lot of them, a lot of them I know come from the South. They come from like Alabama or Mississippi because the people, some of the people in my neighborhood council go and speak with them, and like a lot of the time they're from out of state and it's always a southern state. So it's like how do you get the southern states to stop busing them here?
The
You
southern states
know?
don't bust them there. They do that because in the southern states, those are red states, and they don't tolerate shit like that. And the homeless people hear about California, which is like the land of the fucking free to home. Like that's probably this is the promised land for homeless people. Let's be real. The town I live next door, the town I live next door to, UC Davis. I live next to Davis, where UC Davis is. They're
Yeah,
literally that entire town is the most welcoming. Like when I used to play guitar, like people would walk up to me and say, "Oh, just so you know, this street over here, this area over here, that's reserved for homeless people sleeping. So you feel free to go there tonight." And I'd be like, "I'm not homeless. I'm just hanging out." They are very welcoming and accommodating. Like they like the homeless people being there because it's like it's virtue signaling. They think it makes them a good person to offer their fucking streets up to homeless people. So yeah, no, people from the South, they probably become homeless. They probably pitch a tent in front of somewhere, and since it's the South, somebody comes outside with a shotgun and says, "No, get the fuck out of here." And
yeah,
then, their buddy tells them, "Oh, you gotta go to California. They let you do whatever you want there. You can shit anywhere. They give you free needles. The crisis workers let you stay wherever you want."
yeah,
I guarantee you. And then they bus 'cause they save up as much, $20 for a bus ticket. They get
yeah.
on a bus, they come to California.
Yeah. No, because a lot of them will like they'll say like, "Oh, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm here on vacation." Even though they're like sitting at the, off ramp holding a sign, like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you're on vacation." Okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
No,
Definitely.
yeah, the South, they don't tolerate that shit. So they hear about the promised land and they come here.
The promised land.
And
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely gonna I don't know. I mean, I think it was last year there was this guy and he had, I think actually it happened kind of near where the fires were in Altadena, and he was like fuck this, and he put on a mask, and like at night he had like a shotgun and he was going around and he just like was shooting any homeless guy he saw like right in the face.
Jesus.
And he got like so a lot of the normal folk were like, yeah, but it was terrible. And
Yeah.
so he like it was like an issue. He got in, I think like maybe like half a dozen kills. And then Karen Bass was coming on the news like, if you're homeless, like make sure to like sleep with other homeless because we do have this serial killer just coming out and like specifically targeting you. They did catch him like pretty quickly. So, you know, someone tried doing that
Yeah, dude, if it
as an
wasn't for fucking
extreme.
Hollywood, California would damn near just be like a failed state at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the film business is just like collapsing out here too. So,
Yeah, but it's gonna take a long time. You know, conservatives love to talk about how Disney is failing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're putting out some movies that aren't profiting, but it's fucking Disney. Like, they're not gonna go out of business next year. You know, it's gonna take a
yeah.
long time for Hollywood to like actually die.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. But it's like, I don't know. I heard that Disney, okay, I don't know if this is true, but I read something that Disney like bought the rights for like David Lynch's work, which I was like, no, because now they want to like do their own version.
You're gonna get Eraserhead, where the main character is black and it's an afro instead of the eraser hair. That's what's coming. We're getting transgender Eraserhead.
Yeah, or he's gonna be like a trans black guy
Yeah.
for
Yeah, that would be
Eraserhead.
terrible if Disney.
Yeah, no, I do know that like in the article they were talking about how they wanted to like revive Twin Peaks. And then like everybody was like up in arms about that. Like, no, like don't you fucking dare. Cause you can't recreate a Lynch film. Like only he could, like made it weird. It won't be as weird.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then they're just gonna it's Disney. They're gonna be like, okay, so you know, Twin Peaks. We're gonna make everybody trans. Like that's just
They
the
just need to.
whole.
But yeah, before we die, everything will be like I think they just greenlit a remake of The Faculty, which is, let me make sure it's The Faculty. It's a horror movie from the 90s, you know, it's like from the Scream, I Know You Did Last Summer
Yeah.
era. So it's like, I think it's probably like the third most popular from that genre. You know, the 90s horror, the most popular is obviously Scream, and then I Know You Did Last Summer. And then next
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's probably like The Faculty. But it's like, does that need a fuck The Faculty? We need a remake of it. And now they just rebooted. They're doing a reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Hulu now.
Oh, and then I told you they're gonna do Romy and Michelle.
Oh
Like
my
it's like
god.
that their 40th high school reunion. We don't need that. Their 40th reunion. That's gonna be stupid.
So
Because
what's really sad about the remakes and all this is that the reason they do remakes is because they're so cheap. They only want to spend money on things that have, a built-in fan base. Like at the very least, if they remake Buffy the Vampire Slayer, at the very least you can guarantee Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans will watch it. So they
yeah.
spend a bunch of money on it, but it's like, dude, there's a million like small independent geniuses out there that are just like looking for a shot. Like you could give one of these guys $1 million and he could bring you something better than a fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot.
No, but what they're gonna do, it's like they remake these films and then you throw in the same cast of like Zendaya and Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
And then they make Timothy Chalamet the spokesperson for all the young people, like the Bob Dylan thing. Like now,
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet is the spokesperson to introduce like early rock to the youth.
He's bringing the young people to the 60s.
Yeah, yeah, and he just got into the music because he was doing the film.
Yeah, he got paid millions of dollars, so he decided to check out the music that he was
Yeah,
getting paid to
crazy.
do.
So that's like what they're gonna do. They're gonna throw in Timothy Chalamet or like Zendaya for like a Buffy remake or just something ridiculous, like out
Yeah,
of place.
they just need to fucking stop. Yeah, we could be getting a shit ton of like good, like I said, there's probably like a million dudes out there that are like stuck living in their parents' basement, working minimum wage jobs that have genius ideas for good stories and movies in their heads, but they'll never get a shot because no studio will even give them $500,000. Though
Oh yeah.
they'd rather give Timothy Chalamet $10 million to pretend that he's a 60s fan or give somebody millions of dollars to remake The Faculty. Like, why do what? Come on.
That's so stupid.
They will remake
really
every single thing we've ever loved before we die. Like, I mean, I say they're already scraping the bottom of the barrel. I mean, they just remade The Strangers, dude. The Strangers came out in 2008. We're getting remakes of movies that came out
Wait,
less than.
really?
Yeah, I saw that movie came out, and they did a 3-part too. I saw the first one last year. They Yeah, it's called The Strangers Chapter 1. It came out in, last year. It had Madeline Page in it. That's the only reason I went and saw it, because her and
Oh,
Richard Brake are going to be like the stars of this new trilogy. And it was bad. It wasn't, it was very standard.
God.
Didn't really need it, but Madeline Page is hot. I have a huge crush on her. And then, but yeah, dude, 2008. Like, we're remaking movies that came out less than 20 years ago. It's crazy. Like, we really can't get any new ideas for horror movies. We have to remake a movie from 2008.
Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing new, and it's like they don't care to bring anything new out either. They want just you to be brainwashed
Well,
with
what
what
sucks about it?
is.
What sucks about it is that the reason they keep doing it is because they're making money. It's like all these people go hate watch. That people need to stop hate watching. If everybody actually wants remakes to die, people need to stop seeing them in theaters
Yeah.
or stop
Well,
streaming them. But
people are gonna keep going.
Yeah. I'm guilty of it. Like I said, I just saw that The Strangers remake when it came out in theaters. I went and saw it. But yeah, if people would stop actually spending money on this stuff, then because Hollywood's only going to spend money on what makes them money. So obviously,
Yeah.
in most cases, Hollywood will waste money to virtue signal. Like, they will give you a transgender Cinderella. Just
Oh God. I can't believe that they're doing Snow White. Did you see that?
yeah, with that girl that hates Snow White and she's
Well, they're
Mexican.
doing
And
yeah, it doesn't make sense. Because the point of Snow White is she was literally her skin was as, white as snow.
did you see the trailer for it?
No, I haven't.
Or like the little teaser?
picture.
Yeah. So let me pull it up. That would actually be kind of. They put out it might have been like a leaked clip. I might not be able to find it, but it shows her getting into the dwarves. It shows her going into their house. And you know how in the original movie she goes in there and she gets to live there for free because she cleans and she cooks, and that's the trade-off. In the clip that came out, she literally goes in there and she makes them clean the house. So it's like, oh, she's an insufferable bitch. You break into their house and you make them clean
That's
it,
crazy.
because she's a strong woman who's going to tell them what to do. And
Oh my God.
yeah,
Why don't you just make her trans? Just throw that in too. Or one of the dwarves.
let me see. Yeah, the whole thing's been a disaster. And then the main star, she just goes around talking shit about the original movie and how it's sexist and old. And
Wow. Of
it's
course.
like, okay, so have you seen any of the interviews with her?
No. Who's the actress?
What's her fucking name? Let's see, Snow White remake. Rachel Zegler.
I don't know her.
So she's done interviews, and yeah, she literally does interviews, and she talks about how the original movie was weird because the main prince, he stalks Snow White, and it's sexist, and this movie is going to be about a woman who's strong and powerful, and she's working on becoming the leader she knows she can be, and she's not looking for true love because no, that's not what girls do nowadays. She hates the original movie. And it's
Wait,
like,
so who's the prince? Is there a prince?
what's the prince's name?
I don't know. I feel like they're always named Eric, but it's either like Eric, Tristan, or Philip.
When you look at the cast, we have a guy named Jonathan Andrew Burnap. But it sounds like the prince might not even be like
Wow.
Judging by the interviews, he really might just be like some fucking bum. Like, they really might not even do a love story. It might just be,
No prince.
in the clip that came out, she literally breaks into the dwarf's house and starts telling them, oh, you guys should clean the place up. And here's a broom for you. And here's a thing for you. And then, yeah, they've hinted at there might not even be like a real love story because, she's not looking for true love. She doesn't want a man. She's looking for she's just looking to be a powerful girl or something. And it's like, why do you guys remake these movies then?
But didn't we already have that storyline when what's her name from Twilight did it? Kirsten.
Oh, was it like Kristen Bell or something? It's not Kristen Bell.
No. Yeah. Which one? Kristen Stewart. She did the Snow White and the Huntsman or something like that, where she was, fighting a war with the other. She did that storyline and she did it well. And there was a main guy. We don't need that. Like, this is supposed to be a classic Snow White.
I've never even seen Kristen Stewart in anything outside of Twilight. She was so hot until she started trying to dress like a lesbian.
Until she became gay.
Now she's all big on there was like this cringe like photo shoot for a magazine she did last year where she was like drinking a beer and she was sitting with like how dudes will sit with their legs kind of far apart. She was like doing the posture and she's like,
really?
Yeah, oh dude, it was just the cringeest shit. It's like, bro,
Not good.
I don't know why you gotta try so hard. Like, that's what makes me real. That's what I'm like, dude. Like, dudes don't try hard to do that shit, but girls, it's funny because it makes me think of remember in high school, we always had Spirit Week, and there would be different themed days throughout
Yeah.
and there was opposite day where girls would dress up as boys and boys would dress up as girls. That was when I was in high school, that was the funny thing. But all the girls would come to high school for that day. They would all wear flannels and backwards hats.
Of course.
But it's funny because nowadays girls, they're basically when they want to, when they're gay or they want to say that they're men, it's like a cringe. Like, dude, you literally look like the girls from high school that dressed up as dudes for Spirit Week. You think it makes you manly to wear big DC skater shoes and a backwards snapback hat and a flannel, like. Dude, it's you're like being a cliche of what a fucking, and it's the same when dudes do it, when dudes dress like girls, and it's like, not all girls wear that much makeup. Like, not all girls wear dresses. Like plenty of girls just wear sweatpants and shit. Like, you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always like a lot of blush, lipstick, and an oversized dress. And
Yeah. It's like, dude, there's a lot of girls out there that don't dress like that. Actually, I think most girls don't dress like that.
Yeah. No, not really, no.
Makes me think of that Dylan Mulvaney character that we haven't heard from forever when he, like went like in the woods in high heels and shit. And it's like, girls don't act like that.
Who?
Remember that Dylan Mulvaney guy?
I don't know.
He was like, he got the Bud Light sponsorship and everybody freaked out and conservatives like boycotted Bud Light and Bud Light lost hella money.
I don't think maybe.
There's no way you haven't heard of him or at least seen him around.
I probably know what you're talking about. I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah, no, he was he was doing the whole transgender thing, but it's just like, it's like, I don't see how people don't think it's insulting. Like, it's like, dude, this guy's out like taking videos of himself running around in the woods in high heels, acting like a cartoon character version of a girl. And it's like, bro, girls don't go hiking in high heels. Like, I think most girls are smart enough to know don't wear high heels into the woods.
No, that's wild. Yeah.
That's what I think is funny about it, is that, it's just like, dude, I'm not even a girl, and to me, it looks like you're insulting girls. Like,
yeah.
Like, I think girls are more intelligent than.
Did you find the Snow White clip?
I can't tell if this one's it. There's an official trailer. Let me see if it's because I feel like it was a leaked clip. Like, it wasn't all right, hold up, let me keep looking.
Snow White movie.
Yeah, it was a leaked clip. Let me try to find the leaked clip, because it looked like someone like got the footage on a phone or something and posted it.
Oh my god, they have Mini-Me. Of course, they have Mini-Me in the film.
Oh, here it is. I found it. All right, let me let's get this thing rolling. Yeah, so she's telling them what, right? So like I said, we know in the original, she does the cleaning, and that's why she gets to live at their house for free. They hide her up. But this is what happens in this one.
Now you wash the dishes. You tidy up the room. You clean those cobwebs. And he'll use the broom. Me? Whistle while you work.
Oh.
So she breaks into their house and then tells them, starts bossing them around.
Song to help. Will feel just like it.
I think the rest is just a song.
The house will be.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Ugh.
It's like, oh, so
I won't be watching that.
so
at
she's
least
an
not
entitled bitch. Like that's what you're telling. Dude, if a girl walked into my house, just a random girl, and said, "Here's a broom, start cleaning," who the fuck are you? And these, oh, I get to clean my own house. It's so ridiculous. And yeah, they're doing it because she's not gonna. She's a girl. She's not gonna be doing the cleaning in 2025. That's
Yeah. And
no
also
way.
they want to teach like togetherness, group effort,
Well, group effort is fine, but it's one thing, like she literally says, here's the broom, you get the cobwebs, you like, dude, whose house is it?
It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like a sexist thing that Snow White cleans, because like I said, that's the trade-off. Like she lives at their house and does the cleaning. It's not because she's a woman that she's cleaning, it's because they're letting her live there.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that. I don't really care for many of the live action films.
No, I've never been a fan of them doing, it's like when, when Netflix tries to do like live action animes, it's like, dude, it's a cartoon. It works as a cartoon. I
Yeah.
think on rare occasion we've seen good live action adaptations of cartoons, but generally when it's a cartoon about dwarves and like magic and witches and shit, like there's
Yeah.
a reason it's a cartoon, because that stuff's not real.
Yeah. I don't know.
The best part about Disney doing all that stuff too is they always change things for like the China release. Whenever they release it in China, they'll take out like the lesbian kiss, or they'll take out it's like, oh, so you're not actually down for the
Oh.
cause. You just want to make money.
Yeah. I didn't know that they do that.
Yeah. I think they did it with like, remember the Buzz Lightyear movie that came out a couple years ago that had like they took out the lesbian kiss scene in China because
Okay.
China's not down with that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like,
They're not even down with Facebook, so
yeah, it's like virtue signaling, like Disney in America, like, yeah, we love this, we support lesbians kissing in our movies, but when you release it in China, oh, you're not actually into lesbians kissing, you're just into making money.
Yeah.
If you were really down for lesbians kissing, you'd put that shit in the Chinese version and you deal with the backlash you get in China. But
Yeah, no, they're not gonna fly with that.
that's what I think is the
So
funniest
little.
about the people that eat that shit up here. It's like, dude, you can't see that they're like, what's the word? Placating?
Mm-hmm.
Like am I right in using that word? I'm literally going to look up the
Yeah.
definition of they're placating you. It's, they don't believe in what you believe in. They don't like you. They're just trying to fucking make money off of you.
Yeah.
Disney doesn't actually support your ideologies and shit. They just want to make money off of you. But people eat that shit up. They can't tell when they're being used.
Yeah. So side note, what ever happened to Jay and Jordan?
Jay. Jay still sends me Instagram reels constantly. A little less than usual, but I am also I never really reply to, I reply to him like once a week.
Oh, okay. So he's
Jordan
still...
I haven't talked to. Jordan just commented on my Instagram reel yesterday, but just like a laughing face emoji.
Yeah, no, I see his stories sometimes, and then sometimes he'll comment on mine. So he's definitely still around. But
Jordan
no,
or Jay?
Jordan. But he he's a little like wild to bring into the chat, as you know, with the running around.
Yeah, on screen. It was just chaotic.
It was like so fucking funny.
And then, like I said,
You're like,
I try to
down.
avoid the phone guests, but
Yeah, no, that was funny. He's like, "Can you sit down, okay?" And just like moved
Yeah.
around more. Like, what are you doing? Let me drink. Let me get a beer. Calm
probably
down.
just Probably just anxious. Like when I talk on the phone, I pace around my room.
Yeah. No, that's so fucking funny.
And yeah, Jay's just being Jay. I think he said he might be moving in with someone at some point. I'm terrible at responding to every inbox with someone. It's just like a constant stream of reels,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty much always tired nowadays. But yeah, no, I still talk to Jay.
Well, that's good. That's good. So he's still around occasionally.
Yeah, I think he's just doing the same stuff. He's still doing crazy shit. He's still drinking.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah,
Wasn't he like trying to not drink? Or
I think he goes back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Like sometimes he'll say,
thought
"Oh
that
yeah,
was
I didn't drink for a couple days." I can't really get a good gauge on his level of like he tells me that if he doesn't drink, he gets some effects, like some type of withdrawal stuff, but he does not get the shakes. He said, and to me, the shakes that's the highest level of when you get the shakes, you're a
Yeah.
fucking 110% alcoholic.
Oof.
But it sounds like he gets a little like he's like maybe halfway there.
But
like
isn't he like young? Like he's too young to be.
He's like 19.
That's terrible.
He is legally too young to be an alcoholic.
Yeah, that's rough. Jesus.
Yeah,
Well-
I wonder what
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I wonder what he's gonna do. I mean, I didn't have a plan for. I mean, I still don't have a fucking plan for my life. But I do wonder, like, if I were to ask him, where do you see yourself in 20 years? Like, I wonder what
He's
his.
probably gonna say like dead or something like that.
Oh yeah, he'd 100% say something like that.
100%. He'd be like, not here. I don't know. I'm probably gonna go a little early tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. We got nothing much going on, anyways.
Yeah, I'm like just so exhausted from dealing with the homeless guy and having to like kick him out and stuff. But okay. Well, are you streaming any other time this week, or are you just gonna go on Tuesday?
No, I'll probably go on Tuesday. Fridays. I always want to do something on Fridays. I would do it earlier, but I just end up, I do my work laundry and I go grocery shopping and.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Fridays are always rough, I would think. I would think a lot of people would be like out.
I think Fridays are probably a good night to stream. It's just that I start work early on Saturday mornings, and
Oh, okay.
so yeah, Friday is like my day to get ready for my work week. But
Because that would be cool if you could do like a midnight Friday. Like
I
that
know.
that would be pretty sick.
I would like to do a
Okay.
late night stream.
That would be dope for sure.
Yeah, if I had an actual following, I would like to like on Tuesdays or maybe like on Tuesday once in a while, be like, oh, we're doing a fucking midnight stream or
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't have anyone. There's nobody that would watch the shit at midnight. But
You don't know. There's some weird people on Twitch. So
yeah, Wednesday I had a lot of Twitch people. I got like
good.
I got like 2 more followers on Twitch just this last week, and then
That's good.
yeah, a couple of them showed up on Wednesday. Tuesday was like the most uneventful. Literally not a single message in chat. But Tuesday was like one of the best streams I ever had because I had a topic that I was able to go on for like an hour and a half. I have a shit ton of clips that I'm gonna pull. That I got pulled out of that.
Yeah.
Yesterday was me and Trey, and that was a super eventful chat, which was surprising. Yeah, a shit ton of Twitch showed up yesterday, and then tonight. Chat was uneventful tonight. Sherm Smoke showed up for a second. I always like when Sherm Smoke shows up. He's like a comment sniper. He'll drop by, drop a comment, and then he's out.
That's fun. All right. Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to make some food and do my thing.
Right on. Yeah, I'm just going to end it now. So I'm just going to hit the
Okay.
outro.
All right.
And we're all here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk.